There's no doubt, today more than ever, we all need a little uplifting. Times are scary, and the world can seem lonely and frightening, but God is always present. God loves us and wants us to know He is here and always there when we need Him. The Warriors for Christ podcast seeks to uplift, edify, and encourage you to be the light and salt in a dark and tasteless world. They have new episodes weekly. Be sure to subscribe and share the Warriors for Christ podcast with your friends and family. Find the Warriors for Christ podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and on their website, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. That's the number 4, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. Warriors for Christ, letting the Bible speak and teach for itself.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and make sure that you subscribe and follow on whatever platform you are listening to us on. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, make sure you like the video. All right, now here's a story. I did not think we'd be talking about this today. I talked about this on the radio today, and the reason I didn't think that I'd be talking about it is I thought it was going to kind of fade away, but it's causing some more trouble, which is a good thing for Whoopi Goldberg, okay? And there's Whoopi Goldberg was in major Holocaust denial, which is anti-Semitism, on The View yesterday. I'll play the audio in a bit, but there's an update. Let's start with the update, and then after the update, we'll play the audio. This is in page 6 in the New York Post. Here's the headline: Whoopi Goldberg is in deep S and should be fired, ABC insiders claim. And let me read the article. And, you know, this is very important. And I'll say this before we get into the article, which I have not read. I've only read the headline. So I'll hear the article with all of you at the same time. The View has been on for 25 years. Whoopi has been on this show for over a decade. It's hard to believe. And what The View has been is a court of public shame and destruction. And what The View have done for 25 years is call every prominent conservative, whoever's the conservative that's prominent at that time, Sarah Palin, right? Donald Trump, whoever, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, whoever the in vogue conservative is at the time, The View call them racist, homophobe, Islamophobe, whatever phobe you can think of. And what the View is a poison program, not just because of the negative personalities and conflicts among the hostesses. They're hostesses, right? That's the thing. Is that the female? The
I don't know
feminine?
if that's appropriate. These is too gender specific.
Yeah, but they have been on the main purpose of The View, which is part of not just ABC, but ABC News Division in New York. The main point of The View, it's been a weapon of the left to tar, feather, and disgrace conservatives. If there's a leading conservative, they go after them, okay?
And they always use the race card.
Or some other card, the homophobe, whatever it is. And so one of them has gone over the line. And this is not the first time. If you guys remember, it wasn't that long ago, a photo surfaced of Joy Behar in blackface, okay? And she got through that, but Whoopi's in trouble. So let me read this. New York Post, page 6. There is growing fury inside ABC over Whoopi Goldberg's controversial Holocaust claims, with insiders insisting that her apology isn't enough and demanding that she, Whoopi, be fired. On Monday's edition of The View, Whoopi Goldberg, age 66, I thought she was older, alleged that the Holocaust was not about race, claiming Nazis and Jews were both white. She doubled down on the claim on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on Monday after stating via Twitter, "I stand corrected." However, sources tell Page 6 that staffers and fellow hosts on The View, as well as insiders at Disney, are furious that Goldberg has not been disciplined. Remember, Disney owns ABC. Disney fired, of course, Roseanne Barr.
That's right.
For nothing. ABC staffers and Disney execs are saying Whoopi went way too far. Board members are not happy with her apology and want a fuller retraction. The word is that Whoopi is in deep S, one ABC insider told Page Six. Why does Whoopi get a pass when others don't? Perhaps this time she won't. Many at the network, including her fellow hosts, believe Whoopi is too controversial now for the show. The insider, and by the way, Page Six is very credible at the New York Post. Mm-hmm. When they say they got an inside source, this isn't the person in the cubicle next door to them. They really have sources.
Yeah.
The insider also told Page Six that the situation isn't just going to blow over. This will cast a shadow over everything for a while. Even Joy Behar was heard saying backstage that Whoopi is dead wrong and may not ever recover from this, the source said. Joy Behar found this particularly troubling and couldn't believe Whoopi wouldn't stand corrected until she was forced. According to the insider, others at ABC are asking questions like, how stoned can she be? I wonder if that's just sarcasm or is she I don't know. Her agents are panicking that she may have ruined herself for good, which means their commissions, right? They're cut, the source claimed. Plus, now she has to worry about potential death threats. Who's worried? This is some PR from her agents. Yeah. There's no death threats coming. As Page Six previously reported, Whoopi Goldberg referred to Jews and Nazis as two groups of white people during Monday's show. Okay, I'll play the comments so you guys can hear them. You know, in just a second. Now, I talked about this on the radio today and took calls on it. And I brought this story up and I thought I'd be talking about it for one or two segments on the show. And it was 3 hours of full boards of phone calls of people on both sides of this issue, which I didn't realize there were two sides, the Whoopi side of Holocaust deniers and the side of, what's decent, which is our position. That the Holocaust was about race. Remember, the master race.
Oh, yeah, they use that term all the time.
Exactly. The Nazis were the master race.
And the Jews were the...
all kinds of terrible things that we don't need to say.
He called them... No, but he called them the...
Less than human.
What was the term he used for race? I don't know. I can't think of it now.
Yeah. Well, regardless of it...
But he used that word often.
Yeah. Regardless of it, Whoopi is in trouble. And this is very important because, first off, what she said was wrong, and Holocaust denial and trivializing of the Holocaust is anti-Semitism. And even if you're too stupid to know that you're saying something that's anti-Semitic, it doesn't mean that it's not anti-Semitic, right? If a little baby, little 3-year-old runs around with the N-word, you don't say, oh, that's just a baby, And I mean, there's things that are not acceptable in our society, and Holocaust denial, which is anti-Semitism, is one of them. But this is an interesting thing because it is very rare for liberals to be held accountable. And she is being held accountable. She's not getting away with this. And I knew she was in trouble with ABC because she went on Stephen Colbert's show to apologize, which is CBS. And which one of the guys are on ABC? It's not Fallon. It's one of the other guys. I don't watch late night TV.
I don't know.
But she didn't go
Jimmy
on –
Kimmel?
Maybe. She didn't go on ABC's late night show.
Yeah, I think it's Jimmy Kimmel.
She went on CBS's. And I knew then she was in trouble. That meant that ABC was not interested in bringing her on to try to, save. So let's play the original controversy. And what the conversation started, they were talking about this book that was taken out of some school libraries about the Holocaust mouse, which is insane to me that this was taken out of any library.
Why was it taken out?
Anti-Semites, they don't want the Holocaust to be taught. That's why. So that's what they were discussing, and then it led into this. This is the exchange.
Well, also, if you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No.
Okay, now that's an interesting moment right there. There's some silence, and you can hear in the background the audience, which do not have microphones. You can hear an audible gasp in the entire ABC television studio. And you can also hear in the back the audience a little bit like, "Ooh, what?" Mm-hmm.
No, it's not about race.
It is. It's about a different race.
But it's not.
Okay, now this part here, Sunny, Joy, whoever the other ladies are on The View, are trying to save Whoopi. Mm-hmm. So they're butting in, not letting her talk. They're talking over her so she doesn't say anything more damaging, and then it gets worse.
It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
well,
about
but it's not about
ideal race.
But these are two white groups of people.
Well, how do we have to black people
see them as white?
But you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other.
Okay. So it was a conflict between two white people, so it wasn't racism.
It's just about Nazis. It's just about people not being nice to each other, Brian.
Nazis believe. The Nazis then believed, and the Nazis say Nazis believe that Jews are another race, an inferior race.
That's the word I was looking for. The inferior race.
They believe they're like,
and they're the superior, the Aryans.
Correct. And what they were attempting to do was wipe out the Jewish gene pool from the human race.
It was a mass genocide, and not only the Jews, gypsies, gays, the infirm, I think Catholics. I mean, it wasn't just Jewish people. It was
there were political
a lot more people that were targeted. Well,
there were 6
but
million,
it was mainly, obviously, he had the beef with them.
No, it was mainly Jews. Right. 6 million Jews were murdered.
Absolutely.
And this is frightening to me. And you know, that this type of talk is mainstream in 2022. That's why that book Mouse needs to be in all the libraries, because people have – it's amazing when you hear – never forget, it's been forgotten, the Holocaust, by so many. They don't understand it. It was a long time ago. And I got a call on the radio today from a Rabbi David, and he's connected to the Trump family and organization. And he made a brilliant point, Rabbi David. He said – Whoopi Goldberg, the reason she's into trying to classify the Holocaust as in these crazy ways is she does not want a group of people to be victimized more than African Americans by public perception. Mm-hmm. And the Holocaust is worse than anything that is happened in the modern times. And that's where a lot of the Holocaust denial comes from. So Whoopi, after this, of course, things were getting heated yesterday. She went on Stephen Colbert's show last night for an apology, but I'll play this for you. This does not sound like an apology to me, but this is her on Colbert, on the other network, CBS. And Colbert doesn't say much. He just sits there because he doesn't want
to get involved in this.
And in fact, he probably regretted while it was being taped.
I wouldn't have had her on my show at all.
I wouldn't have aired the show.
I mean, why give her a platform?
Yeah.
Look, here's before you play that, I'll say this. I don't think Whoopi should be fired because of what she said. I'm not into cancel culture, but
I'm not into cancel culture.
I think she should be fired because they fired Roseanne for much less.
Same organization.
And if they're going to fire Roseanne for a tweet, then they should fire Whoopi Goldberg and hold her to the same standard as far as I'm concerned. That's why she should be fired.
Yeah.
I don't agree with what she said, but it's her opinion, and I'm not into firing people because they never should have fired Roseanne. And I don't think they should fire Whoopi over this, but they should fire Whoopi because they fired Roseanne. And Roseanne, by the way, that was her show. She produced it. She created it. And they continued the show without her and killed off her character. I mean, that was, to me, awful. And Whoopi, neither one of them should be fired for their opinions. Let her say her opinion and let people be appalled at it and whatever. Let her deal with that. But if they fired Roseanne for a tweet, then they should hold her to the same standard. Same company.
I would agree.
That's how I feel about it.
I would agree with that. And I think it's important.
They set the precedent.
I think this is important for a number of reasons. One, anti-Semitism needs to always be called out, and it should never be excused, which is what's going on here. And I think it also puts in proper perspective, once again, who the haters are. The haters, the bigots, are always on the left. I know they like to portray conservatives as bigots. It's always on the left. So
this shows you that, I hear a lot of minorities say that minorities can't be bigoted. Well, she's proving that they can.
That is for sure. Okay, so here's Whoopi with Stephen Colbert on the other network, CBS, last night.
As a black person, I think of race as being something that I can see. So I see you and I know what race you are. And the discussion was about how I felt about that. I felt that it was really more about man's inhumanity to man and how horrible people can be to people. And we're seeing it manifest itself these days. But people were very angry, and they said, no, we are a race. And I understand. I felt differently. I respect everything everyone is saying to me, and I don't want to fake apologize. I'm very upset about that people are misunderstood what I was saying. And
I'm upset that people are upset at me, and it doesn't sound like much regret there, and I don't hear an apology. And here's the thing, in Nazi Germany and Nazi-occupied territory, they knew who you were because they put a star on your chest,
exactly.
Okay? And also, you had to prove that you were not a Jew to avoid these camps. You had to produce pages from family Bibles had to be produced.
Oh, yeah.
She
said
officials.
something wrong.
It's really bad. People don't realize how bad the Holocaust was, I'm guessing, because of this reaction.
Well, and she said that the Nazis would have to really dig deep to figure out if somebody was Jewish, which is not true. They would go by your name.
Yes.
Automatic. And like you said, people had to actually disprove. But if you had a Jewish name, that was it. Or if you were married to a Jewish person or it's somebody in your family, they knew. Germany's not that big of an area, and they knew that Nazis always kept great records, that's for sure. And so what if they had to dig a little bit? That doesn't matter. What matters is the end result. They put a star on you, you were labeled, you were ostracized, and you were picked off and sent away and burned to death or starved to death or shot to death or whatever. They killed you. That was it. They had the final solution. That was it. And let me tell you, I know she's coming from a perspective of an African-American, and she's obsessed with slavery. The Jews were enslaved for 400 years or longer by the Egyptians. They built the pyramids. If you go to the pyramids, that's who built them, the Jews. What happened
Jewish
is
slave labor.
Joseph moved to Egypt. Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, you know him, he moved to Egypt. And then his family and all the Jews went and followed him. And that's how they ended up in Egypt, and they became enslaved for 400 years, built those pyramids, and then Moses got them out and all this stuff. So slavery is something, a lot of people just like to think that black people are the only people enslaved and it only happened in America. Slavery has been around since ancient times. Every culture, every continent, every group of people had slavery. The Africans enslaved their own people. The Native Americans enslaved their own people. Slavery has been around for thousands and thousands. It was a part of the world culture.
Yeah.
Before America was even formed, Americans ended slavery. Europeans ended slavery. It still goes on today, but it doesn't happen here or in European countries. But we did not invent it. It was here, and it was a horrible thing.
And in the Holocaust,
but there were people that have been enslaved for thousands.
Yeah.
Like Romans had slaves. They even had slaves during the Renaissance.
And
They've had slaves
in the Holocaust,
for years.
the Jews were also used as slaves for the war machine of Germany. So these are just terrible statements from Whoopi Goldberg. And
I think she's just ignorant.
And
I think she's just
she's
not
a
well
celebrity.
educated.
Most celebrities are stupid
She's
people.
just ignorant of the facts, and she believes her own history. I think there's a separate history that certain people believe that I'm not going to get into, and I think it comes from the Farrakhan school. And there's a lot of issues with the black community and the Jewish community, which I don't want to get into right now.
Yeah.
But I think she's coming from that kind of head. But she has to understand her people are not the only people that have been victimized and oppressed and enslaved. And it shouldn't matter. She's making it a contest.
Yeah.
It's not a contest. It's all bad. But for her, in her mind, it seems like it's a competition.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And I got that feeling from some of your callers this morning, too.
Let us know in the comments what you think about Whoopi Goldberg. Here's a couple questions I'll ask. 1, was she denying the Holocaust? 2, is she anti-Semitic? 3, should she be fired, or is what is passing as an apology enough? Let us know in the comments. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with a lot more to talk about because there's a lot going on. Do not go anywhere. We will be back right after this.
NFTs are the newest art medium, and they're taking the world by storm. Did you know that NFT is one of the highest trends searched online? NFT Tel Aviv is all about art. They're an NFT artist agency that's a full-service talent agency, representing photographers, digital drawers, musicians, video art, and 3D artists. Some of the services NFT Tel Aviv offer are management and representation, development and minting, art research, and a lot more. They proudly represent more than 40 fine artists and have helped them get into the NFT world, and focusing on fine art as well as small and boutique collections with just 20 to 50 pieces in the collection. If you are interested in NFTs or NFT as an artist, this is the agency for you. Based in Tel Aviv, and they trade worldwide. NFT Tel Aviv, online at nft-tlv.co.il. nft-tlv.co.il. Does the planet Nibiru really exist? Did the ancients in Mesopotamia really describe it in their text? Find the answers to those questions and more in the must-read book from author Francesco Pastore, Nibiru, the Phantom Planet, analysis of the historical and scientific evidence produced by Zacharias Sitchin. Zacharias Sitchin is a well-known supporter of the theory of ancient astronauts and claimed that the ancients knew all the planets of the solar system. But what's the truth? Zacharias Sitchin was the original author of the hypothesis of the planet Nibiru's existence. Later, many authors relied on this hypothesis by writing hundreds of books. Unfortunately, many of these authors have not bothered to investigate the correctness of the hypothesis until now. Nibiru, the Phantom Planet, analysis of the historical and scientific evidence proposed by Zacharias Sitchin from author Francesco Pastore is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now. Real estate is a complex industry that offers almost anything to anyone. Real estate provides opportunities for those interested in active investing, passive sources of income, and careers as realtors and insurance agents. However, it can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Shannon Robnett is on a mission to change this perspective. He inspires people to step up to the challenge in his podcast, Robnett's Real Estate Rundown. This podcast provides something for everyone in the real estate industry. Shannon Robnett is a second-generation builder and developer, a fourth-generation realtor, and has over 35 years of experience in real estate. He's sharing his experience and knowledge with listeners that's actionable advice on wholesaling, fix and flips, single-family, multifamily, and more. On Robnett's Real Estate Rundown, you will hear people talk about all facets of the market, including analysis, challenges, management, and successes of investment grade. Robnett's Real Estate Rundown is full of useful information for veteran real estate professionals and anyone looking to enter a career in real estate. Robnett's Real Estate Rundown is available on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Podchaser, YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. Robnett's Real Estate Rundown with your host, Shannon Robnett. Start listening right now. There's no doubt about it. Money makes the world go round. There's a lot to know and a lot of information out there. But there's one podcast that covers all the topics involving finance. The Wealth and Freedom Podcast. Their mission is to educate and empower everyone to create a path for financial independence. The Wealth and Freedom Podcast covers all the financial topics you can imagine. They have interviews with leading experts on asset protection, passive income, real estate investing, precious metals, turnkey companies, cryptocurrencies, foreign residencies, and passports. And that's just the beginning. They cover much, much more than that. The Wealth and Freedom Podcast has it all. Find them on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, or at wealthandfreedomnexus.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We really do appreciate that. Now, this is a story that just should be the lead story after Whoopi Goldberg's Holocaust denial, right? That should be number one. Number two should be this story. And this story is getting really no press, no attention. And the reason that it's not getting any attention is because it doesn't fit the narrative. And like with Whoopi Goldberg, it exposes the corruption of a Democrat, and the media are only concerned with trying to slander and damage conservatives and not report the truth about Democrats. Listen to this. Oh my goodness! Biden has Hunter with all his problems. Well, Nancy's got some problems too with her son. Listen to this. This is in the Daily Mail. Nancy Pelosi's son listed himself as the owner of a flop house tied to a fraud and bribery scheme prosecuted by the FBI in documents newly unearthed by Daily Mail. In the documents, Paul Pelosi Jr., that's Nancy's son, signed statements that he was the property owner, the party legally and financially responsible for the proposed construction activity, and agreed to abide by all laws and requirements that govern builders as well as employers. And they even show Nancy Pelosi's son, who's 53 years old, applying for one of the very same permits that the building inspector, Bernie Curran, and permits expediter Rodrigo Santos have been indicted for. Curran and Santos are due in federal court this week in San Francisco. Prosecutors claim Santos arranged for his clients to donate thousands of dollars to Curran's favorite nonprofit, a rugby club, in exchange for him turning a blind eye to violations which would deny their building permits. One such person, identified only as client number 9 in charging documents, wrote a $1,500 check to the club to help remove violations from the residential hotel on Utah Street. Last week, the Daily Mail revealed that Pelosi Jr. was interviewed by feds over the hotel, which was owned by his former girlfriend. There was also some suggestion that he could be the mysterious client number 9 who was writing the text. There's writing the checks. There's text messages. There's other information. So Nancy Pelosi's son is involved in a scandal of bribing local officials to get building permits. This is a big deal crime. Not even in the news.
Yeah, no.
Not even in the news. And we know that a lot of the money that Nancy Pelosi makes her money by a couple of ways, right? Insider trading, right? Buying stocks that are worth 10 cents and then passing legislation that benefits those companies, and they're worth a lot of money. And the other thing that has come out recently about the Pelosis that I did not know is they have a lot of money that they've made in real estate, and a lot of it in San Francisco. So if her son is involved in something, her husband, which is her, is not far behind, and he seems to be as scummy in the business dealings as Hunter Biden.
Yeah, these are crime families, and they have a license to steal. And you and I were talking the other day that she's running again for protection.
From criminal prosecution.
I don't know if she'd ever be prosecuted, but
she's afraid she might.
Or she's afraid because I think she's afraid if the GOP get control, because there's a lot of things in the news saying that they're going to go after a lot of people. I mean, that seems to be the normal now. One side goes after the other, and then the other side goes after them. It's like a little dance they do. And because there were a lot of things that she wasn't going to run again, she was going to retire. And all of a sudden, she had this weird announcement that she was going to run.
Maybe to save her son.
And all this is coming out with her son, Paul, or whatever his name is. So I don't think that's a coincidence. You know, all these people, like I said, they have a license to steal. Nothing ever happens to them, and probably nothing ever will. But at least it gets out and the public can see what's happening, and it hurts their reputation and destroys their credibility. I would love to know how the people of San Francisco really feel about her, because I have a feeling they don't like her. But I think it's a situation like in New York where nobody votes. I was shocked at how few people voted for the mayor. And I think a lot of people have the attitude, well, my vote isn't going to count. So if you live in California or New York, I've said it before, you need to vote and do not make assumptions about the elections. You need to go out and vote, because you just keep getting stuck with these same corrupt politicians for years and years and years. They destroy your cities. And if you don't vote and get out and try to change it or run for office, you're going to be in the same loop over and over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that book, Red Handed, you're reading, it talks about her as well with China. There's a lot of, I think a lot of stuff is starting to come out. And I think that once the GOP takes over the House and Senate, which it looks like I think it's going to be a landslide, I think a lot more stuff is going to come out. And I think you're going to see It'll be their turn now. And I think you're going to see a lot of committees, a lot of investigations. The tables are going to be turned. It'll be interesting.
Well, the Pelosi's have so many corrupt deals going on between the corrupt deals with the Chinese Communist Party and their stock deals. And now her son's involved in petty corruption at the city level with building inspectors. I mean, these are just criminal.
Hunter Biden.
It's a crime family
it is.
that just don't know about legal ways to do things.
And they go after the Trumps for nothing.
Well, this is an interesting thing. The Trump family have made a huge chunk of money off of real estate. Could you imagine if a story came out like this, that Don Jr. or Eric had bribed a building inspector through this money laundering operation to get some permits that they should not be getting? That would be even though President Trump is not currently in office, the media would stop everything they were doing. It'd be all day, all night. They'd probably impeach him again.
Well, they've made those accusations.
Letitia James over there, she'd be bringing grand jury indictments against everyone in the Trump family. Nancy Pelosi's son's doing this in her city of San Francisco, and there's a media blackout on the story.
Yeah. Well, they're friends with all the prosecutors. They're friends with all the judges.
Democrats have a free pass to just do crime. I don't understand. It's like in the media, they just don't care. If Democrats do crime, it's okay.
They don't care because for them, their politics is their religion. They don't believe in God. They don't have a higher power. They worship their politicians.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi is their God. Joe Biden is their God.
Goodness.
And they, can you imagine? And they will help them at any cost. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
If something came out where the Trump family was doing criminal things and all this stuff, and they proved it, and they came out and had actual proof, like a laptop full of evidence and all this stuff, it would bother me very much, and I would say so. I wouldn't protect it, or I would say, well, if that's true, that's not good. But you don't see that, and something should be done about it. But the thing is with the Trumps, like I said yesterday, they have been the most intimately vetted family in the history of politics. I mean, somebody in the chat said that they've had have had almost MRIs done of their bodies. That's how much they've looked into them.
That's true.
And they have found nothing in 7-8 years. Nothing has come out. All innuendo, fake news, accusations with nothing to back it up. Here you have things where there's actual proof and documented evidence. But like you said, nothing will happen. But I do think it's kind of interesting that she decided to run. She's a very strange woman when her son was going through all this. It's not a coincidence.
What you hit on, I think, is accurate. I think Nancy Pelosi is running very specifically to stay in power to stop her son from getting prosecuted.
Yeah, and maybe that's why Joe Biden ran too.
I think Joe Biden ran to make money. He needs to make money.
Well, I think it's both for both.
Yeah,
it's a two-way street for the benefits outweigh, they don't want to go back to civilian life and be nobodies because once you're out of politics, look at our Senator Nelson. He was in politics forever. He got beat by Rick Scott. You never hear from him anymore.
No, he's done.
Once you're out, I didn't even know Bob, our old Governor Graham.
Who was a senator, too.
Was a senator and a governor. He's still alive. I didn't even know. He's 80-something years old. You never hear from him.
Once they're out of office.
That's
Except
it.
Trump.
Except Trump. That's right. He's the only one that anybody still cares about.
Now, right before the podcast, Kathy and I made our bed. And, of course, we had on it our MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets flannel.
Yep.
And we took off the flannel sheets because it's in the 70s right now here in sunny South Florida.
Yeah, it's getting warmer.
And we made the bed with our regular 100% Giza Cotton MyPillow Dream Sheets.
The blue.
Yeah.
I love the blue.
And, Mike Lindell, if you go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, there's a flash sale available. What you do, flash sale on the MyPillow sheets. You go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio listener specials. And right now, the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, all sizes, all colors, regular sheets, flannel sheets, stripes, solids, whatever you pick, 60% off. 60% off the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets.
That's a good deal.
In fact, as low as $39.99. It's a great deal. And, when we were making the bed today, before we had the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets that Mike Lindell has invented here, making the bed was a chore. I really did not enjoy it. And the main reason I didn't enjoy it is, as because of a benefit you have with the MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. The bottom sheet, okay, the one with the elastic, with regular sheets, non-MyPillow sheets, it's impossible to get all four corners on well. You can get two on well, maybe a third one, and then that fourth one, you're straining, you're pulling, and there's been many a time we're making the bed, and I'm putting on that fourth corner. I'm pulling so hard to get the corner of the bottom sheet over the mattress just a little bit. I'm so afraid my fingers are going to slip, and I'm going to end up flying across the room into the nightstand, into the dresser, into the closet door, or the wall.
I'll say this about it: the sheets, like you said, the corner pockets fit perfectly. And I'm disabled. I have a heart and lung problem. I could make that bed by myself if I wanted to, without getting out of breath, without having any problems. That's how easy. They fit over the corners easily, but they fit snug. You know what I mean? They're not loose. The bottom sheet is nice and taut, which is how I like it. I'm very picky about
the sheets don't shrink in the wash
and
either.
The sheets don't shrink.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I wash my sheets in hot, super hot water change the linens every 4 or 5 days. Super hot water. They never ever shrink. My other sheets that I had before did, and they fit like a glove, like just fit perfectly. And Brian helps me make the bed all the time, but you know what? He doesn't have to. If you're disabled, if you have any health issues like I do, with these sheets, you could easily. So if you got them like for your parents that had health issues or issues with their dexterity or something, they could easily make the bed with these sheets. Other sheets, I think if somebody who has arthritis or something, it would be impossible. But these really are easy to put over the bed. And they fit really nicely.
Now, there are when you go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, 60% off right now. This is a flash sale as low as $39.99. Any special you see at MyPillow.com, you can take advantage of with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. But on the flash sale, there's some other deals too I'll just tell you about quickly. The MyPillow My Slippers, which I'm wearing right now. The MyPillow, I have the MyPillow fur-lined moccasin slippers, but they come in many different styles and colors for both men and women. They even have pink for the ladies. 50% off the MyPillow My Slippers.
They have good deals right now.
They make a great gift for Valentine's Day, for your Valentine or yourself, and you will love them. As I said, I'm wearing my MyPillow My Slippers right now, and they are just so comfortable. There are many other specials there, and again, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code KANE at checkout. Now,
I think the matching robes are a nice, very romantic Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Get matching robes, his and her. I think that would be a really nice gift.
And there's a big discount on those as well with our promo code KANE. All right, now, since we're in San Francisco and in the Pelosi family, let's go to another member of the Pelosi family, Governor Newsom, who is, I guess he's the nephew of Nancy.
I think so.
And, this guy's an idiot. Last week,
he is an idiot.
He was defending violent gangs. It was just bizarre.
He's so bizarre. Isn't he when he talks, he's such a weird guy.
Yeah.
He's really strange.
And he was at a game the other day, and of course, they have very strict mask requirements in California by order of Governor Newsom's executive order. And you've seen the picture of him without the mask with Magic Johnson. And,
and Magic Johnson's a high-risk guy. I mean, he's on HIV drugs.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there standing next to him, hugging him.
He looks pretty healthy to me, though.
No, I know, but I would consider him a high-risk person. And he's standing there next to him, maskless. A little strange to me.
Yeah, and, of course, it's a major hypocrisy and everything else. I know everyone's talking about that, but I wanted to play this audio clip of Newsom responding in a press conference.
This is worse than Whoopi's response.
This guy, he is a weird dude.
Is weird.
Governor Newsom is just a freak of a man, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about rules for, thee and not for me and all this stuff because everybody's doing that, and that's an obvious thing, but I just want to play Governor Newsom from this press conference just so you can see what a bizarre freak this man is.
Too bad you don't have a visual because it's bad listening, but when you see it, you really get the full effect.
So listen to this.
He's a really strange guy.
Yeah. Correct. I was very judicious yesterday. Very judicious. And you'll see the photo that I did take where Magic was generous enough to ask me for a photograph.
Okay, now, typical liberal, he's blaming Magic Johnson for him not obeying his own executive order requiring masks. It's Magic Johnson's fault. I did this because of Magic Johnson. Typical liberal.
Pass the buck.
Yeah, typical liberal, white, elitist, trust fund baby, never had a worry in their life, blaming the legendary Magic Johnson for him violating his own executive order as governor.
A photo that I did take where Magic was kind enough, generous enough to ask me for a photograph. And in my left hand's the mask, and I took a photo. The rest of the time I wore it, as we all should.
That's not true.
Yeah, he got caught in a lie.
Yeah, they had him on like the fan cam in the stands, and he had
Jumbotron.
And he had the mask on his ear like Biden, and was sitting there just yucking it up with everybody.
Yeah, they don't work that way.
That's not true.
And I took a photo. The rest of the time I wore it, as we all should. Not when I had a glass of water or a thing. And I encourage everybody else to do so. And that's it.
That's it. No more questions. It's over. I have decided.
So
that's it. We're not going to talk about it. It's over.
I don't understand this guy. Okay, he already got busted with his dinner that happened
at the height of the pandemic.
At the height of when people were really, really afraid and locked, when they were literally locked in their homes for months and months. He went and had a fancy dinner with a bunch of friends. He got ripped for that, which he should. He knows there's cameras everywhere. He knows he's being scrutinized. He knows that if he goes anywhere without a mask in public, he's going to look like a big hypocrite. So he's not a stupid man. So why did he even take his mask off?
Arrogant.
You know, yeah.
He's the king of New York.
He doesn't care.
The king of California.
Because I was really trying to think, well, why would he even do this and put himself in this position? And I realized, you know what? He just doesn't care what the serfs think.
No.
He's King Henry VIII.
Because, you know why,
in his
Kathy?
castle.
You know why?
He doesn't give a damn.
He is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Yeah. He knows, her son's out there bribing.
They're going to vote for him anyway.
Guys to get permits, right? Her son's bribing people. Yeah. She's involved in an insider trading scandal in the stock market. He knows that he could just do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, because the Democrats, they'll elect him anyway. They like criminals, I guess. I don't know. And jerks.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. Do not go anywhere. We will be back right after this.
From author Tori U. Bates comes the book Rise, 5 Hours That Changed My Life, available on Amazon. When author Tori Bates was shot one Saturday evening in December 2021, it signified that life, as he and his family once knew, would be changed forever. It would take the strength of his wife and 10 children, his rock-solid faith, and a miracle from the Lord to see them through the coming hours as he fought to make sense of what had happened to him. In Rise, the author recounts the evening in graphic detail when an unprovoked attack, which would have killed him on any other day of the week, didn't, and he was able to return to the loving embrace of his family once more. Now, he reevaluates everything he thought he knew. He is more determined than ever to follow God's path, which saved him from another one of life's missteps, and to listen to his word at every opportunity. All proceeds from the book go to build a home for those with no address in solving childhood hunger and violence in Memphis, Tennessee. Order your copy right now. Rise, 5 Hours That Changed My Life, from author Tori U. Bates, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. Are you preparing for a career in performance nutrition? Then the book from author Dr. James C. Moorhan, The Performance Nutritionist, available on Amazon, is your next must-read book. In any industry, there are those who progress quicker than others. It's no different in the industry of performance nutrition. Those in performance nutrition appear to effortlessly gain experience, credibility, and respect from other practitioners and athletes. They seem to stand out. But why is that? The Performance Nutritionist lifts the lid on 10 well-respected performance nutritionists, practitioners, and researchers, all of whom are successful in their careers. With hundreds of publications, gold medals, winning performances, and podcast episodes between them, the 10 individuals in the Performance Nutritionist provide genuine golden nuggets of vast and valuable information you can use. When you read the Performance Nutritionist, all of your questions will be answered. Their career navigation in academia, research, and applied practice, standout moments which have defined them, key characteristics required in the industry, the importance of mentors, influential factors which have led to their successful careers, and the question, what makes a successful performance nutritionist? You will find all that and more in The Performance Nutritionist from author Dr. James C. Moorhan. Order your copy right now on Amazon, available in Kindle and paperback. Do you want to be a director? Have you been trying to get into directing television or films? Maybe you're interested in how it all works. If so, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. The Directors Podcast with your host, Jeff T. Thomas. The Directors Podcast is a 13-episode limited series featuring some of the most talented television and film directors in the industry. All episodes are available right now. Part 1 features the story of how each director broke into the business. Part 2 is a discussion, director to director, about their process, as well as highlighting some of the most defining moments of their careers. The Directors Podcast is fascinating and enlightening. Listen to industry secrets, get tips on how you can make it in the amazing business of television and film directing. The Directors Podcast with your host, Jeff T. Thomas, is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and your favorite podcast platform. Add the Directors Podcast to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Before we get back into the issues, I saw a story in the New York Post I came across when I was reading that story on Whoopi Goldberg and ABC and her firing. And it's a story, something happened that's been one of my greatest fears. And that is the fear of the ceiling fan.
I saw this story.
You know, okay.
I was thinking the same thing too.
And freak accident.
Yes.
Leaves Rachel Pighills in danger of internal decapitation.
I have never heard of that before.
Now, a UK woman injured by a ceiling fan was left with a rare condition that could internally decapitate her.
Oh, my goodness.
We have our ceiling fan on high right over our head because it's almost 80 degrees here in South Florida. I'm sorry, you guys up north.
That's not that hot. It's like 70.
It's in the 70s.
But
it's
even
in the
when
mid-70s.
it's 70, it still can feel warm here because it's just because it's Florida. It's sunny
The heat index is high. It feels like about 80, 79. But anyway, a UK woman injured by a ceiling fan was left with a rare condition that could internally decapitate her, and she's trying to raise enough money to travel to Long Island for surgery on a complex operation.
Oh, my goodness.
Rachel suffered the injury when she was struck in the head by a fan while standing on her bed as she moved into a new house. The freak accident, and it goes into this. And, you know, when I was a kid, I know everybody I think around the country has ceiling fans now, but when I was a kid in Ohio, we didn't have ceiling fans in Ohio. And when I came to Florida, everyone had ceiling fans.
Oh, yeah, we got one in every room.
And when I was a kid, I was terrified of ceiling fans because they spin very fast. Yep. They're uncovered blades.
We even have one in the kitchen.
We have them in all our bedrooms. We have them on
the bathroom. They're the only ones that don't have it because the bathrooms aren't big enough for a ceiling fan.
We have one in the living room. We have them over our bed. There's one right over our heads now in the podcast studio. We have them on our back porch.
You have to have them in Florida.
And I remember as a kid, I would not sit under them because I was just afraid they would fly off and
she stood up on her bed, and I guess it was still going when she stood up and it whacked her.
I've done that. I was doing some work in the kitchen, and I got on a step stool, and my head went up in the ceiling fan, and it stopped it. And there's been a couple times I've been doing like things in the bedroom, and I'll go to change a light, and the ceiling fan will hit me and everything, and
depends on how fast the fan is going.
What I really hate is installing ceiling fans. I've installed ceiling fans throughout our whole house. I did have one fall once out of the ceiling on the back porch.
Yes.
It fell while it was running. Luckily, no one was underneath it.
This happened like in the middle of the night or something.
Yeah. This was like 15 years ago. It was a long time ago. Yeah. But that's the only time I've had one fall out of the ceiling. But last summer, I put a new ceiling fan up in the living room, and I had everything hooked up. And I told our daughter, someone to go on the wall and turn it on. And I had forgotten to screw in one of the blades.
Oh, yeah.
And the blade, it was the one right over my head when the fan went. I bent down, it flew like a bullet over my head and right into the living room wall, scared the daylights out. Luckily,
Just missed the TV.
Oh, man. Yeah. And it didn't damage the wall either, but...
well, that's awful. I pray she gets the money so she can get her surgery. I never heard of internal decapitation. I wonder what
I've heard of that before. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard of that before.
I guess it's like her neck, maybe her neck has been severed.
Yeah.
And
internally. Have any of you had the fear of the ceiling fan? Because I think they're pretty scary.
They're a little scary, but I wouldn't stand up. If you're going to stand up and put on a bed, you need to turn it off. I don't think people realize how strong they are. You know, they figure if they hit it, it'll just stop. But if it's going fast enough, it could hurt you.
And anytime we get new ceiling fans, I always put off installing them because I'm so afraid of them falling out. I had that one fall out 15 years ago from the ceiling. Yeah. And ever since then, I've been like freaked out about installing them.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're an essential part of a Florida home.
That's for sure.
Definitely essential.
That is,
I think almost every home in Florida has a ceiling fan.
Yeah. Now, I got to play this bit of audio. Rachel Maddow. This is a very, very bizarre thing. She is going on a sabbatical. Now, Rachel Maddow. I'm going to play you some audio here, but before this, she goes into some self-serving things building up to her excuse. She had a podcast some time ago. It was a limited podcast, 5 episodes, 6 episodes, 8 episodes, something like this. And it was followed up with a book that is coming out or is just out. And there is a movie being made, probably a documentary by Ben Stein about this book. And the book is about the criminal investigation of Spiro Agnew, who was Richard Nixon's vice president.
Ben Stein's obsessed with Richard Nixon like Roger Stone.
Well, Ben Stein worked in the Nixon White House. Right. And if you ever watch the speech that President Nixon gave, his goodbye speech to the White House staff, you'll see a young guy about 20, 25 years old, bawling like a baby. That's Ben Stein. Mm-hmm. And Ben Stein, his feelings towards Nixon are what like ours are towards President Trump.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
he said he loved the guy.
Yeah, and he knew him and worked for him in the White House. Yeah. And Spiro Agnew was caught up in some bribery scandal when he was in the state office. Spiro Agnew, I guess so. He was involved in some bribery scandal when he was in state government, and he had some IRS problems and things like this. And there were some prosecutors that were investigating him. By the way, during Watergate. And it was probably part of the greater plot to bring down the Republicans. Not that Spiro Agnew was not doing things that were wrong, but anyway, she claims that she is walking away on sabbatical from her television show, which is the #1 show on the lowly rated MSNBC, to work on this movie, where she's already done all the work. By the way, she wrote the book, she did the podcast. And she's not a cinematographer. She's not an actress. She's not a film editor. And I want to play this. And I want to ask you guys this as you listen to her. Do you believe her story? Steve Kane believes that she's taking some time off to go into a treatment center or something.
Well, I'm wondering.
And I'll play this for you and you can decide what you think.
Before you play it, let me ask. Didn't she just sign a big contract with them?
Huge contract.
To do like 1 day a week.
Weekends.
And that's what we were kind of speculating that
she's going to be off for months now.
Moving. So after she signed this was this part of her contract? Did she say, I want to take time off?
No, this is new. This came out of the blue.
So she signed a big contract and now she's leaving. I'm sure they're happy.
It doesn't sound I don't think she's leaving for the movie that she really has no part in, okay, in making.
No, it's something else.
There's something going on.
She can handle all that through Zoom and emails.
Exactly.
And stuff.
So let me play this.
There's something else going on.
It's very bizarre. And I gave you all that background.
Well, she's bizarre.
I gave you all that background just so you can have some context into, what she's referencing here. But I'm going to play this. So let us know in the comments if you believe her. Is Rachel Maddow leaving on sabbatical to work on this movie with Ben Stein? Or is she going into Steve Kane thinks she's going into rehab or something. I think
he said she's having a nervous breakdown. But if she was having a breakdown, would she be able to go on TV and be, it seems so calm?
She didn't look that great on this. So I'm going to play this and then you guys can let us know in the comments what you think is this true story. Is she telling the true story? Is there another one? What do you suspect?
And I am going to take a little bit of time off from this show. To go help with the movie. And also to work on some other things that I have cooking with NBC right now, including a new podcast, kind of along the lines of Bagman and the Spiro Agnew story. I mean, it's on a totally different topic, but when I say along the same lines, I mean to say it's got a specific arc. It's a specific story. It's a reported journalistic tale. It's not just like a jibber jabber podcast where I chat with people and admit I haven't done the reading. It's a real thing on a story that I've been starting to research and report for the last few months now. I am super excited about it. Super excited to tell you about it when I have more to tell. So just like late night hosts sometimes go on hiatus in their shows, I am going to go on hiatus for a little bit here from this show so I can work on some of those other projects.
Okay. I don't believe any of that.
Her voice sounds strange,
and
too.
She looked
very
odd.
hoarse.
Yeah, and she was not in the studio. The whole thing, I don't buy it. There's something going on in her life.
She was taking a jab at Joe Rogan, saying, like, it's not just a conversation that I'm having. I actually research my stuff. Well,
it does sound that way.
She's a snob. She thinks she's smarter than everybody in the room, and she's really dumb. I mean, she pushed that Russian stuff for 3 years, and none of it was true. That's how she lost her whole audience, is she pushed that narrative every night for 3 years, and then it was found to be... And after the Mueller report came out, her audience dropped by half. I was watching Jesse the other night for 5 minutes because his ego is pretty bad.
Jesse Waters on Fox.
He's taking credit for this, which is very typical of somebody who's completely self-absorbed.
Jesse Waters is taking credit for
her
Rachel
leaving.
Maddow's sabbatical.
He's saying, from what I gathered, that he's doing better than her, even though they're not on at the same time in the ratings, and she can't handle it, so she's taking time off because of him. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that sounds like something Jesse Waters would say. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Do not go anywhere, but make sure, let us know in the comments your thoughts on Rachel Maddow. Is that the real story? What do you think the real story is? All right, we'll be back right after this.
From author Peter Allen Turner comes the book Zach Watkins, Blood Trail West, available on Amazon. The year is 1763. The French and Indian War is over, but even before the ink is dry, tensions reach a boiling point. English settlers, hungry for land, ignored the treaty's terms and poured over the Appalachian Mountains. They believed they had earned the right to hunt, trap, and explore the land to the west. Hoping to escape the political turmoil sweeping through the colonies, Zach Watkins and his Mohican friend Henry, two young men fresh from the war and thirsty for adventure, ventured into the Ohio Valley. What started as a peaceful journey quickly becomes a bloody trail. And soon, Zach and Henry find themselves once again fighting for their lives. Will Zach and Henry survive the latest war and avoid torture? Or will they die and be buried in an unmarked grave? Find out when you read Zach Watkins' Blood Trail West from author Peter Allen Turner, available on Amazon. Looking for a real estate agent? Need real estate advice? A free home valuation? Or quick offers without the hassle of fixing, staging, or showing? Call Realtor Latasha Harris for a professional free consultation. Brokerage by eXp Realty, Latasha Harris will provide the very best service in all aspects of real estate and mortgage. Her aim is to be at the forefront of the industry and provide tailored, innovative solutions that fit her client's individual situation to ensure the best possible outcome is achieved. Express Offers is eXp Realty's online marketplace that can get you multiple competitive offers quickly without the hassle of fixing up, staging, or showing. It's great for both sellers and investors. Located in Los Angeles, California. Don't hesitate to call Realtor Latasha Harris at 626-653-3980. 626-653-3980. That's 626-653-3980. Or visit latashaharris.exprealty.com. Brian Craig here. We heard from another loyal listener of the Steve Kane Show, Wisconsin Gary. He and his wife ordered the MyPillow foam mattress, and Wisconsin Gary called in to share their experience.
We ended up buying the MyPillow mattress, and believe it or not, Brian, for 2 days since we've had it, I have gotten the most wonderful night's sleep. First night that we got it, that when we were watching you on the show, that all of a sudden, didn't take long, I was already actually snoring in her ear. So that's how quick this mattress is really done for us. So we were really happy that we got this mattress. It's great. It just completely enlightens you in the morning and everything. And it's just an outright great product. We have the foam mattress that we have on here. We just love it.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much. And with the promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, on the MyPillow foam mattress, 30% off, and you get 2 free MyPillows with that, as well as a free set of 100% cotton Giza Dream Sheets and free shipping with the promo code KANE, KANE. Well, that's a great story, Gary. I appreciate that, and thanks so much. Yeah, he's a good MAGA guy there, Wisconsin Gary, with his MyPillow mattress, 30% off with the promo code KANE. You get 2 free MyPillows, a free set of the 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets with the promo code KANE, and free shipping. That's amazing, right? You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879, 1-800-716-4879.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for your support of this program. It helps a lot. It means a lot, and it's very much appreciated. And if you would like to support the show, a great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. And if you don't know what that is, Patreon, it's a website, and you become like a patron of the program. You know what a patron is? That's what you are. That's where Patreon comes from. And there are benefits and perks to becoming a Patreon supporter, including commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. The names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Dee, Jaclyn, Rick, Rich, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter of the program, there is a link in the description of this and every episode, a direct link on my website, BrianCraigShow.com. And the direct website address is patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. Patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. All right, now, a couple things I want to touch on here in the last segment of the program. And they both involve press secretaries. One is Psaki and one is McEnany. And McEnany, who has had to testify to the January 6th committee, which is absurd, in their fishing expedition. And remember, the January 6th committee, they have had many witnesses come, and none of it has been on television.
Yep, 400.
Yeah, 400 people. They've 400 witnesses.
Yep.
Yeah, and none of it has been televised. I believe it has not been televised because they have nothing. They don't want the American people to see the ridiculousness of it, so that when they release a report, we have no context other than the slanderous lying report they send. Congress people, especially in the House, remember, the House of Representatives, every member of the House is up for re-election this year, every 2 years. Mm-hmm. Every member of the committee is in the House of Representatives, so every member of the committee is up for re-election, and members of the House love nothing. Well, there's one thing they love more: power and office and corruption. But to maintain that, they want free publicity by being in the news. And the committee hearings are an opportunity for them to do that, and they've been hiding these from us. But anyway, McEnany, they have her text. They took her phone, and there's a bunch of text messages between her and Hannity, and they act as if there's something scandalous because Hannity and McEnany text message each other about things in the news and what's going on. Our only liberal a press secretary, which is what McEnany was. And by the way, she's a personal friend of Sean Hannity. She worked on his show. Was she an intern, you told me, Kathy?
She was an intern for Hannity when she came
Well, he must be so proud.
Out of college. So she's known him a long time.
Got her first job in the mainstream.
She went to
with him.
U of F, by the way.
University of Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Florida girl.
So she's friends with Hannity. She was an intern on his program. And a press secretary, all they do are talk to members of the media all day and all night. That's their job. And Hannity's a member of the media. So I like how they try to create, she's talking to as if there's scandal.
No, that's all they do is talk to people.
That's their
in the
job
media.
is to deal with the press.
Yeah. And just because she might have said something to Hannity doesn't mean that it ever happened or that she
said
ever,
nothing wrong. I've read
that
the
she ever
text.
did. I mean, she might have just said something and then
A lot of
decided,
it-
oh, well, I'll go in a different direction. Or, they try to make it out like she's taking directives from Hannity, but she took all her directives from Trump because unlike Biden, Trump's actually was with it and knew everything that was happening, and every word she said was from him.
Well, what they're
Nobody
doing in the committee is they're doing a lot of things. One of the things they're doing is trying to blame Fox for an insurrection against the government,
not
so
gonna
they
happen.
can take punishment. See, they can't bring down Hannity, so they want to try to get him connected to the Capitol breach, so they could say that he incited an insurrection.
Everything they have proves
Everything they do
exactly
is a
the
scheme.
opposite.
Yeah.
Is exactly the opposite. They have text messages of them saying,
Nothing, saying
Trump
nothing.
needs to stop this. We need to end this. So nothing in the text
Exactly.
shows them complicit or cheering it on or happy
Exactly.
or organizing. It's going nowhere because I tell you, they've interviewed 400 people. If they had something, it would have been in the press by now. Absolutely would have
Exactly.
been leaked to the press.
No doubt about
and
it.
it would be out there on the shows talking. I mean, where are all the anonymous sources that were so talkative when Trump was in office? Where are they? They're nowhere to be found.
they don't exist.
Exactly. And they
They were
have
made up.
nothing. They have nothing to report.
Yeah. Now I want to play this last clip here before we end, and this is with Jen Psaki laughing about crime and talking about Judge Jeanine, and then we'll talk about here's Psaki.
If you look at Fox on a daily basis, I mean, do you remember the 4 boxes that we had on all the TVs, right? Which is on my TV right now. So right now, just to give you a sense, so CNN, Pentagon, as many as 8,500 U.S. troops on heightened alert. Okay, true. Same on MSNBC. CNBC is doing their own thing about the market. And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean, what does that even mean, right?
Okay, now here we have 2 cops who were just murdered in New York City because of the soft on crime, and there's another guy who shot a cop who's out on bail, and we have these soft on crime Democrats. That's what it's about. And what Psaki, I'll rewind it a little bit. What she's talking about here is that they can't control the narrative, right? CNN and MSNBC are taking orders from the White House, but Fox News is actually reporting news, and Jen Psaki just can't have that.
To give you a sense, so CNN, Pentagon, as many as 8,500 U.S. troops on heightened alert. Okay, true. Same on MSNBC. CNBC is doing their own thing about the market. And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean, what does that even mean, right? So there's an alternate universe on some coverage. What's scary about it is a lot of people watch that.
Yeah, watch that. Get the actual news. And I know there's a lot of problems with Fox. I got a lot of problems with Fox and the personalities. But there are good people there like Judge Jeanine. I like Judge Jeanine.
Well, look at it this way. Every news organization, everyone, even to your local level, they decide what goes on the air. They make that decision. They don't just give you everything unfiltered and let you decide. And CNN, they air a lot of stuff that's not true. I mean, we were talking about the Russia thing. They talked about that 24/7.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow in particular.
For 3 years straight, and none of it was true. It was all fake, all fabricated, all made up, but they did it. How many things have they said about Trump's taxes and this? All made up. So I see what's going on with these networks between her. Of course, she doesn't work officially for them. Stelter and that other chick that was on Stelter's show. They're clearly panicking because they're losing their grip on influencing people, and they're really going after Fox because Fox is actually reporting a lot of stuff that they won't talk about, like the Nancy Pelosi thing and all this stuff. They're reporting these things on Fox sometimes in Newsmax, and they don't want to. They're upset because the messaging is beyond their control now. And things are getting out that they don't want to get out. Yeah. She is very unlikable. And I was saying to you
she is.
Today, one thing Biden could do that might help him a little bit is fire her because she is extremely unlikable. She's very condescending, snobbish, and rude. And I think she answers a lot of questions. I don't think she meets with Biden at all. I've said this before. I don't think she ever talks to him. And I think she answers a lot of questions off the cuff from her own point of view. I don't think, when Kayleigh McEnany was on, she had a huge organized thing, and every answer you could tell was out of Trump's mouth. Because she would say, I just had a meeting with him. She met with him every morning that she would follow him shadow him and be there. She said, I'm with him all the time. And I'll ask him, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm.
I never hear Psaki talk like that. I feel like she's answering the questions from her own perspective.
I agree.
And not from Biden's perspective. I don't think she meets with him at all. I think he gets up late, probably around 11. Then he gets up for 2 hours and then takes a nap for another 3 hours. And they wheel him out to talk on TV for 45 minutes. And then he's back. You know, he is handled. He is shuffled around. And I think everybody else is managing things. And I think she answers these questions not from his perspective, but from her own.
I would agree. I would agree. Now, listen, we are all out of time. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Now available on Amazon, Daily Gratitude Journal from Jason Grand. Can giving thanks make you happier? According to Harvard, gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps you feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences. It can improve your health, help you deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. Daily Gratitude Journal can help you focus and clarify what's essential in your life. Jason Grand is the author of several books, including Daily Gratitude Journal, Daily To-Do List, and Password Book. He's devoted to organization and self-improvement. Jason Grand has become a passionate advocate for healing and self-discovery. He also loves to hear from readers, so make sure to visit his website, jasongrand.com, and order your Daily Gratitude Journal from Jason Grand on Amazon.